go ahead and kick things off here for the Erie Land Bank meeting for July 17th. And I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I'd like to start by seeking approval of the consent agenda and the minutes of our June 19th meeting. If I could have a motion to approve those.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That takes us to finance report.
So included in your packet, you have the balance sheet as of June 30th, the profit and loss statement, and then a list of the checks that were dispersed during the month of June. We are still working with our auditor. They had submitted to us a letter that it will be available for our next board meeting. And on the balance sheet, it looks a little longer than normal because she had wanted us to list out each individual one so that it's showing on the balance sheet. They were all in there before as individual journal entries, but now she wanted each address showing on there, even though they're showing $0 balance. They are in there under the assets for the 218, 735.93.
Do we have any questions on financials?
I got just one.
Sure.
927 West 23rd. It's listed with it.
It looks like when that was entered, it was put in accidentally as West 3rd, and then when it was removed, the figure was put in under West 23rd. So those two zero out. Also like East 4th Street, just because there's not an extra space in there, and we didn't see that until after this report was printed. But that also zeroes out as well because it was entered with a space between East and 4th for a positive 800, and then when it sold, it came back out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the actual property we own there is 927 West 23rd, is that correct?
Yes.
The West 3rd is the error?
Do you know?
Okay.
So it is West 23rd?
West 23rd is what it should be. I believe that has sold.
I don't know, but my recollection is that it's the 23rd.
Okay,
West
23rd. Tracy has been working with me on adding all of these addresses in so that they show on the balance sheet per our auditor's request. So she believes it was the 23rd Street address.
Thank you.
So East 4th and East 5th, they do have addresses?
If they did not have a,
Possibly not have an address, it might just be a parcel number, but if it's vacant land.
if it was a vacant land, yeah, it wouldn't have an address number
Okay.
necessarily.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on the financials? If not, I'd seek a motion to approve the financials.
So move.
Give me a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That takes us to citizens' comments. Any citizens to be heard today? Do we have any citizens online? Hearing none, that takes us to report of the executive director, and I believe, Mindy, you're going to fill that role today?
Sure. So we have nothing formal for this meeting. We are moving forward with all the condemnations from earlier this year. The one property that has been a lot of work, and we've been talking about, the 1737 West 6th Street that did come down, that is listed for sale. It is a buildable lot, so we went with half the assessed value for the land for the minimum price, and accepting. We made the application for that a lot more stringent because, you know, they're going to need to have architect plans, things like that, and we want it to conform to the neighborhood, so we're putting all that in place. So we won't be accepting any bids on that until September to give people adequate time to do all of the research they need to do, so.
Okay. Any questions? Thanks, Mindy. If there's nothing further, then we can move right into the solicitor's report.
Good afternoon, everyone. I saw the sign up on the lot on West 6th Street, so it looks great. And I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of activity on that, but again, that's good that they're going to keep the integrity of the neighborhood intact. The very short report on my end, 811 West 7th Street, we finalized all of that. We're moving forward for a transfer of that to West Bayfront. That's going to close certainly by the end of this month. And then there were any number of properties that were bought by the land bank. At the tax sale, we had to wait to 6 months. Immediately thereafter, those quiet title actions have been filed. Again, like I said before, it's almost like a belt and suspenders approach. No one appealed from them. What they want to do is title companies want to make sure that we've served all the prior owners, not only by the tax sale, but also the quiet title action. So we're taking our time to make sure that we're getting service on all the property owners. Again, where you kind of run into some problems is where if the people have passed away and a formal estate has not been opened, I have any number of staff people who are combing through obituaries, multimedia, to find out who are the beneficiaries of people, to make sure that we've got that service. So I don't see where there's going to be any problem. We're going to move forward so that we'll be able to have these properties sold certainly within the next 60 to 90 days. So that's the whole idea, which leads me really into the last point that we talked about before, and I also said something to the redevelopment authority as well. Met with the solicitors for the Tax Claim Bureau and also for the assessment office to help expedite the process. Again, we talked about that there's a delay from after the condemnations until we get it to the land bank to the third party to speed up that process. So we had a nice roundtable lunch with those solicitors, with the appropriate individuals from both the redevelopment and the land bank office, so that we're able to turn that around quickly, because there was some frustration in the delay from the time after the condemnation, get it into the land bank, but most importantly from the land bank to the third party. So we have worked together to streamline that. I think that's probably going to be in place and with confirmation by all those solicitors by month end. So hopefully we can start seeing that process, getting it into third parties, into the general public on a much quicker basis, so that again we're generating tax, helping the tax base for the city, and that's why we're here and what we're doing. So with that, that's all I have. If there are any questions, happy to respond to them.
Mr.
If not,
Sundberg, I apologize, I just don't remember. How many properties did we take in that tax sale in December?
yeah, there's 12 of them.
Okay.
There's 12 of them. So we've been monitoring it. They're all filed. We're after them.
Great.
So to get it done. So, and that's those properties. We need to get back into the general public.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us to unfinished business and new business. And before we jump into that, a lot of this we had put off last month and tabled because we wanted a full complement to make some of these decisions. So some of this is coming up a second time for that reason. I thought it was good that we all weighed in on some of this. So let's jump into unfinished business and demo bids.
So in front of you, you have a list of properties that we put out for demolition bids. Everyone that's listed there was the lowest bidder for that particular property. So just looking for overall approval to get those going.
Okay. same ones from last month, right? Or,
I don't know if we had, the other ones were from,
Yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
but these are, yep.
can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion to award as presented.
Need a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That takes us to demolition authorization, and this is one that we had started to discuss last month, and now that we're all here, I think a refresh would be good, Mindy.
Sure, yep, no problem. So why we came up with this resolution was to request board permission for the staff to approve the demo bids. Because we have so many and we're doing a lot more properties, it is stalling our process to have to wait, because sometimes we get those demo bids in the day after this meeting, and then we're waiting an entire month to be able to start letting the companies get working on it. I did go through, as you had requested, the policies and procedures. There is no specific policy and procedure regarding demolitions. There is a policy and procedure, which I note on here, the 4.10 delegation of authority, that says that the board of directors may delegate the disposition of an authority to the staff as long as it meets those A, B, and C, which with the demolition, it would really be if there was a demolition that exceeded the $50,000 mark that we would need to come and bring it to the board. So.
Well, I wasn't here, was this discussed last month or before?
We brought it up briefly,
okay.
but we were on a time constraint last month and decided to table it, and especially because not everybody was here last month either.
Yeah. You know, just looking at it last minute or so, my question is, why do we need a land bank board then if the redevelopment authority will be making these decisions? That's one. And the second thing is, we don't have to have a board meeting to take a vote. We could do that by email or Zoom.
I had looked, I mean, I would be open to writing a policy on doing a board vote per email, but I had looked at that before and we don't have one.
We can get one though, right?
I don't recall that.
So that would require a bylaw change?
I don't know, I would have to check on that, because I remember asking before if we could do a vote by email, and I was told that that was not possible. But I could check on that to see if that would be the way that you'd want to move forward.
Yeah, generally by email, you have to have 100% of the board to approve any action.
Right.
I just maybe want to speak to Mr. Gamble's comment there. I hear you certainly about, well, then why do we need a board? I guess I feel like we still, of course, will have input on the disposition of properties, on some of these larger issues. You know, we have ones in front of us today. I guess I feel for these demolitions, we rarely take issue with them. I mean, we barely even ask any questions on them. So for me, I just feel in just the case of the demolitions, because of the way they're presented, you know, I don't have a problem with it. I did want to ask, though, is it assumed that you'll take the lowest bidder? I didn't see that written here. Are we just giving you the authority to go ahead and make the decision, or are we making that with some sort of understanding that you're always going to take the lowest bidder? Yes,
we are not required. We can not take a bid from somebody. So if we have had issues with a company, if we don't have their insurances and things like that, we're able to discredit a company for those reasons. But yes, typically that is just our protocol to do the lowest bidder.
Unless there's some extenuating circumstance.
Exactly.
Like I just said. Okay. So with that, I guess I don't have an issue with the resolution. I do, though, I'm, you know, sensitive to Mr. Gamble's comment, but that's where I'm sitting on it.
Do you have any comments?
And I guess I could just jump in. We could also have delegate the authority to the redevelopment staff and ratify the staff's action at the next regular meeting, just to cover everybody.
So to revisit last month, I mean, I still feel that for something of that dollar amount, I don't want to slow that process down. I know what it's like when you deal with a monthly loan board and you miss a cutoff and a project is delayed an entire month because of a meeting schedule. And that's why I had indicated I'd like to see a cap on that. This isn't quite what I had in mind, though, the value of the property in excess of a certain amount. What I had in mind was the amount that you're looking to spend.
Mhm.
And I think we need to tighten that up at the very least, so that, you know, maybe it's not a project that's in, to exceed 10,000 or whatever number. I'd like to see that,
I'd be more agreeable to that.
you know, because we don't want to micromanage, and you guys have to take care of business on a day-to-day basis. I don't see that in here yet, though.
Sure. I would say that typically, on average, we see demolitions come in anywhere from like 7 to 12,000. It's a good average. So maybe if it was, as long as it was below 15,000, is that something that would be comfortable?
Yeah, we don't want to tie your hands.
Okay.
I mean, we want it to be a reasonable amount that you can do your day-to-day work.
Okay.
So I don't know if that means we push it back another month. I don't want to do that to
Well, I
you
can
guys, but
revise this.
We
I
need to
mean-
tighten this up a little bit more.
Yep.
And Chuck, I don't know, you want to comment on that idea?
Can we just line that out? I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Chuck.
I'm favorable with the proposed solution.
Sorry, Paul.
Can we just line that out, put 15,000? Do we have to wait till next month?
Yeah, can you approve it with the noted changes, and then we can do the new resolution first?
I think so.
Yeah.
So line B, we would be substituting that line for,
15,000.
Cost of the demolition.
right, I want to word that differently.
Yeah.
Cost of demolition not to exceed 15,000.
Okay, perfect.
And with that language, I think we're comfortable, and I would seek a motion to approve that.
So move.
Second that.
Okay, the amended resolution, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Mindy, can you get a clean version of this to us? Just
Yes,
to have
absolutely.
Binders, okay.
Mhm.
Thank you. Okay, then that takes us to, so you have an update on policies and procedures?
Yes, so the next resolution in front of you is just a small update to our policy and procedure 4.4 deed without warranty. So it was the land bank's policy to transfer all land or buildings, parcels with buildings on it with just a quitclaim deed. That has proven to be, as Attorney Sundberg had mentioned, that has proven to be an issue for people down the road. People can't get title insurance on it. They're not able to do what the intended use of the parcel is, whether it's to build or rehabilitate a building or get it back to being a productive parcel. So we have been transferring them as special warranty deeds typically, so it was just, like I said, a minor update to the policy. Do you have any questions?
So we would be transferring without warranty?
No, we would, I didn't specify that all of them would be special warranty deeds. I just put that they would be deeded as necessary for the highest and best use. As the previous policy just said, we would do a quitclaim deed with no warranty. This is allowing that there to be a warranty.
Yes, and then I can speak to that.
So we're not, yeah, if you don't mind, because
Title
I'm trying to work through
Yeah.
the maximum possible exposure here.
Yeah, the quitclaim deeds to say, look, we don't know what title or interest we have, but whatever we have, here it is. When when we're selling to third parties where they're gonna either build on it or renovate it, and they're getting title insurance and a loan, they require at least a special warranty deed, which basically says, hey, during the time that we owned it, we have not done anything to adversely impact upon the title. And in fact, what we've done is we've cleared up all those issues so that we can say, and we're not putting ourselves out for any additional liability or exposure as the Erie Land Bank. Hey, during our ownership, we have not done anything that creates a title issue. And the title companies are acceptive of that. So
But
that's
they don't like that we're putting out there with a notice to quiet it. That's causing an issue with title insurance.
okay.
No, are you asking a question?
No, I'm trying to figure out why it matters. Maybe I'm getting too far in the weeds here. So we're going out and we're trying to quiet any claims that are out there, which
Yeah.
takes time, and I get that.
Yes.
The title insurance company, though, still has an issue, even when we put it out for that period of time, no claims have come in. Doesn't that put an end to that, or?
It should. It
For a
should,
title
it should, but
insurance
the title
company to have an
companies aren't
issue.
willing to, they still aren't willing to accept that, because for those properties that are coming from the tax sale, specifically the tax sale, they're worried about people coming out of the woodwork for an
Right.
extended period of time, even more so than just the 6 months. So they're putting that emphasis on us, that additional obligation. That,
I mean, it shouldn't matter, though. That's what that period is for.
it shouldn't. It's very, you're exactly right, and it's very frustrating. We're going, look, it's already been taken care of by what the Tax Claim Bureau did and the whole tax sale process. Now you're making us go through this process again, and they're going, yes, for us to write a title policy for those transactions where the buyer might be getting financing from a bank, for us to do that, we want you to do this quiet title action, and we need our deed to be a special warranty deed. Okay, it's taking extra time and some extra expense. It's not putting any more potential liability or exposure on the land bank.
Okay. Because when I saw without warranty, I just wanted to understand this better. So this isn't changing any potential liabilities for us.
It's not. It's not. But it's clarifying what our process is, what we're willing to do to convey these properties to a third party that might be getting financing and having to get title insurance. It's to satisfy their unnecessary additional concerns, but it's not putting any more exposure or liability on the land bank.
Okay.
Just making us jump
Thank you for the
through hoops.
explanation, because I've always thought you quiet the title, and that's what
Yeah.
that process is for, and there shouldn't be an issue after that.
There really isn't. So when the Tax Claim Bureau's gone through their process and served everybody, they're making us go through it again. Now we've double whammied it, so that there isn't any potential down the road claim. In fact, the title insurance policy is protecting yet another level of coverage for that third-party buyer.
Okay. That helps, thank you.
So just so I can ask, just so I'm clear, so we will still issue quitclaim deeds occasionally where they're accepted.
Yep.
But the resolution is saying, if that's not going to cut the mustard for the title, we're giving you the authority to go ahead and issue this other kind of deed in those circumstances?
Correct.
Okay.
And there might be additional time and expense for us to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But hopefully 90% of them are still going to be quitclaim deeds. We're just saying, hey, look, here it is. Let's go.
But again, with the intent of getting them back on the tax rolls as quickly as possible.
That's exactly right.
Got it.
That's
Okay, thank you.
exactly right.
Thank you. Questions? Chuck, any questions on that?
No, I'm good, and I appreciate, Cal, for the clarification.
Yes, yeah. If there are no questions, then I would seek a motion to approve the change in procedure.
I'll make that motion.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Takes us then to proposals, vacant lot proposals.
So in front of you, you have the spreadsheet that shows the proposals for the purchase of vacant lots. We do have 2 offers for 2426 State Street. This was tabled from last time as well. The first person is Anthony and Jenny Tallarico. They own a property 3 parcels down from this particular property. They want it for future site development. They are hoping to expand. They actually have a business there. They're hoping to expand the business down eventually. So, but there are 2 parcels in the way of that, if that makes sense. So their business, parcel privately owned, and then this 2426 State Street. The other proposal is from Giselle Luttrell, who wants to put in a park. She is, or to put in a community garden, and had talked about plans of eventually connecting Peach Street to State Street via that parcel, which I don't know if it would be possible or not. So, as you know, we're kind of against the community gardens because they tend to fizzle out over time. So, but those are the 2 for that property, which, and again, if you don't like either of them, you can always reject both of them. So, any questions about?
Well, I think in the past, I made as a resident of the area, we do have enough community gardens, and so many of them have been failures and just have become blight, that I'm opposed to the community garden idea, and the Tallaricos are trying to do their best along that street, so I like what they're planning.
I'll be in agreement with Paul as far as the community gardens. A lot of them are in bad shape in the city of Erie, and to, I guess, put one on the main street of the city, I don't think that'd be a good look.
What's that, Chuck?
Do we know what I'm not familiar with Tallaricos' business and what their intent is. Are they going to build on the lot, which would therefore increase the taxable income?
That is their hope to eventually do, yes.
And if our goal is to maximize the revenue to the city, and as well as boost the economy, that would be more favorable. That would be my vote.
I felt very conflicted about this one. I would note that the Tallaricos say they would like to have future development, but for the time being, they're just going to keep it clean and mowed. So,
Yeah.
We'll hope that there's additional development. But, I'm fairly new to this board, and I'll defer to the expertise of others about community gardens. I completely understand. I think State Street, obviously, is a very, very visible place. I liked the idea of this connection between State and Peach, but to your point, I'm not sure if that's even possible, so I don't want to make the decision based on that. So I am in agreement with the awarding to the Tallaricos as well.
I'll just basically second what everybody's already said. I think, we've had our troubled history with community gardens, although I think this individual would probably make it work. But what I don't particularly care for is it's definitely not the highest and best use for a parcel right on the main street of our city. It just is not. It's not the highest and best use, and we should keep that in mind. This should be developed into something eventually, and I think the question, in those terms, then the question becomes, do we accept Mr. and Mrs. Tallarico's offer, or do we hold out for a more specific plan? And I'm not really sure how I feel about that. Because somebody's saying that they're just going to eventually do something, maybe we're getting too picky, but.
Are we able to add something that says that within a certain amount of time, if they have not developed, that it returns back to our ownership? I mean, have we ever done that, or is that a possibility?
Well, that's something I've asked since I've been on this board, because, I've seen redevelopment authority properties, just sit there and lay it, just waste. And we have plenty of those on the east side in Central City.
We do put a right of reverter in them now, that if they do not, it's not for development though, it's if they do not take care of them and it becomes blighted again, then we have the right of reverter to take it back.
I mean, I guess to put something like that in, we have to be very specific, almost prescribing to them what we would want to see, and I don't know if we feel equipped to do that. But I favor this proposal so much more if I knew that, a laundromat they noted, but there's a laundromat right up the street there, so I don't know if that makes sense, but something, again, to increase the tax revenue, that makes me like it more. I certainly want to give them time to develop it, but it would be nice if we could put some constraints
I
around
know they
that.
had talked about, but again, there's 2 parcels in the way,
Yeah.
that they wanted to extend the business that they currently have and also build a building to house a family member.
I believe his brother-in-law is a Judge Bizarro. So he had mentioned the potential building a facility for him to operate out of. But as far as the timeline goes,
There's 2 parcels in the way.
I get that, and it can take time.
Yeah. But I think that the view that they have is a good one, as long as they can get those other 2 parcels.
Are we comfortable moving ahead then, Mr. Talarico?
Yeah.
You are. That's fine, I'm gonna abstain from this because he's a city employee, right?
He's a Erie Police Department, or police officer, yes.
So Deb, I think you and I are out. I'm gonna abstain. So. He's a city employee, so I'm abstaining.
Well, I'll make the motion and we
So,
accept the
yeah.
offer from the Telericos.
And I'll second it.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain. Motion carries.
So the next proposal is for 430-32 Cascade Street. It unfortunately is for another community garden. And it's a very big parcel. It's where the old Kelly's Downs bar had come down at, right there on the corner.
I'm thinking if we can hold out and see other bids on that one, because you're right, it's a valuable lot, this is a quarter lot. It's also not too far from the new developments happening along West 6th Street on the east side of Ridley Park. This is, of course, on the west side of Ridley Park. So I'm thinking there could be a developer who would be interested in building some apartments perhaps.
And I also want to be consistent in the message about community gardens. I don't feel like it's fair to say yes to one and no to the other, so I agree to hold
Yeah,
on this
I
one.
agree.
I agree as well.
Yeah.
Do you want us to formally vote this down? Or? Okay, then I would, let's see.
We
What
don't even have to move it, right?
I'm sorry?
Do we have to move it? We just won't, can you ask for a
I
motion?
mean, if you're just saying it's denied, I guess it doesn't require, well, I think we should require a board vote if that we're saying that this
Probably
proposal is
should.
denied, yeah.
So then I'm gonna bring up the proposal for 430-32 Cascade Street and look for a vote. Any in favor? Any opposed?
I'm opposed. Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah.
Okay. There you have it. Okay.
And I already talked about 1737 West 6th Street, unless anybody has any questions on that.
Have the neighbors reached out at all? I'm just curious, like, how that,
One neighbor had reached out prior to it coming down, hoping to buy a vacant
Right.
lot.
Okay.
So, I told her what the process was, but they didn't want to develop it.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so there's no action on our part here, okay.
nope.
Okay, any other business? Hearing none, do we have any questions or comments from the board?
I'm good.
Maybe we can, I know we've mentioned this before, but reopen the conversation about marketing and how we're getting these properties out. I don't know if there's a tie to potentially the MLS, the Board of Realtors, if there's a way we can work with them. It just feels like we still need to revisit this. And, you know, we talk about holding off, putting these properties out for casting a wider net, and it feels like we can maybe still find a way to do that. So I'm just putting that out there for future conversation. It's something I started talking about this past month between meetings with Board of Realtors, and I don't know if there's a relationship or a connection we can make. Maybe you and I can talk offline about that, but I just want to put that out there that I think it's worth digging into a little more.
I think that's a great point, and as you were saying that, I was thinking to myself, there's some conversations going on as part of kind of the Infinite Erie work group around neighborhood development. And one of the things that we've been talking about too is maybe some capacity building for small developers. You know, like a lot of these are folks in the neighborhoods that want to do more. They own something and they might not really have the technical assistance. You know, we might not love how their proposal comes in, but some capacity building for some of that I think might be an interesting way to maybe boost interest and ability, so we don't end up with properties that fall back into blight. So I'm just putting it out there. I don't think it's the role of the land bank, I want to say, but maybe as that neighborhood work continues to happen, that's something that we could continue to work on together. I think that's an untapped market, I think, at this point.
Definitely agree.
Makes sense.
Just feels like I hear all too often from people that, oh, I didn't even know that was an option, didn't even know it was there. So, I mean, we've done a lot of good work coming this far. It's not knocking anybody. We've done a lot of good work to this point. It just feels like we need to keep pushing that message, pushing the marketing, coming up with ways to expand that net a little bit. So it's more of a point than anything else. I don't have a specific answer right now, but I don't want it to just kind of fade either. We've talked about it and then we kind of let it go, and then I just want to keep that on our radar. So if there are no...
Maybe a suggestion might be to do, you know, run an op-ed or otherwise, or do it, let one of the newspaper reporters do just a bit of a story on the success of the land bank, and then that would lead to, here's a list of what's available now, here's how to find out future listings going forward then. So maybe a little public relations announcement through a newspaper article.
Yeah. Thanks, Chuck. Okay, if there are no other questions or comments, then I think we're good for the day, and we are adjourned. Thank you.